Hello guys, welcome back. Welcome back, Justin.
Yeah.
Now we will do two different table with two different technique. One it's a straight corner with a cat, and one it's a round table with a round corner. So different technique.
Okay. Very cool.
This is a plywood, so in this case you cannot stretch the vinyl on the corner because it's a low adhesion surface. So you must do a cut.
Okay.
We will show just a sample without doing the complete table.
And very important to get a strong corner game. Very, very important to seal, especially on tables, because tables, if you get the wrong corner, it's going to lift.
Yeah. So in this case, it's a really straight corner. So you just push with your finger, you highlight the corner. And after that you highlight the corner, you just do a cut from the head in the middle. So we call this 45 cut. Okay. You separate the two sides.
Yep.
Always think which side you see before, because one side will have the overlap, the other side no. So always think which is the most visible one.
Okay.
And in this case, we use the 3-step technique that I explained before on the door. So just push 3 times on the corner. Like this, you are always safe.
Nice.
Keep it this up. Sometimes you can also stick it like that. It's more easy.
Nice.
Just fold this on the side.
Okay.
And cut exactly 3 millimeters after the corner. Normally, I always use my finger on the corner to have a guide. This will give you help to have a straight cut. It's really a nice technique. In this case, we don't fold the material on the back, so I do the cut like that. In case you want to fold it, you just release the cut like that and you go on the back. In this case, we don't do it, so I just cut directly here. Nice. I cut straight because, like I said at the beginning, this is a fragile surface, so the cut will be straight with the cutter and will be sand with the sandpaper.
Nice. Okay.
Take the other side, 3-step.
So what's nice about making this relief cut and having it fold over is there's zero tension on the corner, so there's no chance of it lifting.
Yeah, absolutely. And also an important thing is that normally I close this just to see where is the end of the corner, but the cut must be done on the same side because this material it's a bit rigid. So if you cut on this side, this 2 millimeter will be not enough to keep the material stick. So you will probably find open. Okay. So the good thing is that you normally I use the finger like a guide. So just find the good point. And 1 millimeter before the corner, you do the cut.
Nice. So super precise. So it's really a mini overlap, but again, that's really gets that long-term hold. So it's an overlap on the flat side, so it holds nice and strong.
I use this many people use the technique to cut directly 45 on the corner. I suggest to avoid this because you can always peel off the material. So just try to find a way to stay 1 millimeter before the corner. More you are close to the corner, more it's nice the finishing. More it's straight the cut, more it's nice the finishing.
Got it. Very cool.
Nice. Cut straight. Take the sandpaper with a sponge. Normally we use a sandpaper between 120 180.
Okay.
So it's also a bit hard. It's not really soft.
Yeah.
And just always do it like that. Never brush on the side or top. You will see that now you have a bit of white. It's the vinyl that start to be ruined.
Okay.
If you proceed like that, you will see that you remove exactly the excess. And the cut, it's like if you did just one cut for the wood and for the vinyl. So
nice. And so again, we talked about this earlier. Really important because this edge is not 100% smooth, and so very important to kind of. So in this case, the other time you're shaving, this is almost like exfoliating. So cool.
And always try to check that you cannot peel off the material. But if you use the sponge with the sandpaper, you can also try to remove it with all the power that you have. You cannot do it. So the durability will be really long.
Oh, that's awesome. Looks really super good, super durable. And this is what you're going to do on super low surface energy tables. So like plywood and stuff like that.
But also when you have many tables to do, I suggest you to use this technique and don't stretch it.
Very smart, especially like let's say in a kitchen. If you're doing like a IKEA kitchen, you're wrapping stuff, definitely want to do the cut, fold over. But then sometimes you want to get that higher quality, so you're going to wrap around in one piece. How do you do that? Yeah,
you can do it, but you need to go on the back. So you have normally to cover also the back, because in other case you will just have some millimeter cover on the back. So take more time. It's a nice finishing, nice job, but just keep in mind that take more time.
Okay, very cool.
We switch the table and we will show the other round part.
So again, keep in mind, so again, the prep for this is cleaning, put the water-based primer on here, let that dry, get everything set up, wrap it around. Cool. And now for this one, definitely get your tools ready. You want your heat gun.
Yep.
And I can help you over with this. And this one, different style of table. So this one has a higher surface energy. So this one you want to use the different primer. So in this case, this is the solvent-based primer. Put it on, let it dry 20, 25 minutes, and then you're good to go.
And you can go. Always keep in mind that when you do something like that, you cannot cut directly on the first edge. So you need to fold it on the back because probably you have too much tension to cut directly here. So always keep in mind to go at least 0.51 centimeter on the back.
Got it. Okay.
In this case, the primer will be just on the back part.
Okay. Very cool. So here, wrapping the main part, you're going to get it on the flat part, let the material hang out on the edge. So you got 360 degrees of the material hanging. Always want to have extra material so you can really pull.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Always when you have to stretch the material, just keep in mind to have at least 5-10 centimeter more.
Got it.
To get the tension out from the surface that you are covering. In this case, we have a bit too much material, so I will just remove a bit of material from the two sides.
Cool. So again, with this material too, you want to have enough to pull, but not too much that it becomes difficult.
Absolutely. Take the heat gun. Normally, the good temperature I suggest is between 200 and 250 degrees.
Nice.
Different school, you can also use it higher, 600 degrees, just keep more distance. It's the feeling normally of the installer. So keep
in mind that with cover style film, it's what's called a multi-layered film. So there's lots of different layers. So if you use a high heat, you're cooking the top surface, but the bottom surface gets a little cold. If you use kind of actually a lower heat and kind of go a little slower, it heats all layers at the same time. So much better for stretching. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You think the higher heat is better, but actually kind of a lower heat. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So this one has a digital readout, so it's nice. You know exactly the temperature.
Yeah, you need to wait a bit. That will take the correct temperature.
Yep.
Always keep in mind that in this case, you don't need to stretch the vinyl. More stretch you give, more tension and more problem you should have around the cut. So I suggest you to just warm it. When it's flat, you can start to stretch it, but it's not a stretch. It's keep it intense and just fold.
Okay. So what you're doing is you're reading the material, and if you heat the material, it starts off with wrinkles, and those wrinkles kind of flatten out. On the rapid suit, we call it glass. So once the wrinkles disappear, that tells you the material is ready to be stretched. So the material is actually kind of talking to you a little bit. So here, heating, you see the material get a little soft, and then
good temperature.
Guide it right to the edge. So again, and not really pulling, you're more thinking guiding. So you guide it right to the edge, see the wrinkles, heat it up, flatten it, guide it to the edge. Very important not to overstretch it. So technically right now you are stretching it, but you're trying to keep that stretch super minimal. So you see the material get nice and soft, nice and yummy. The material
never stay in one point with the heat gun. This is also.
And you try not to stretch. You're basically working at what, like maybe 10 centimeters at a time, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay. So try not to do everything.
Yeah, I prefer to work step by step than instead stretch it completely and.
Nice.
Always go for the safer solution.
Always, yeah. Pull it down nice and gentle. Cool. And oftentimes, you can see that there's no bubbles happening on the material right now. And the reason why there's no bubbles is the adhesive has what's called air egress. So it has channels on it. So the air kind of smooths out underneath. So you get that high.
But for example, the material, it's also done that, for example, if here you have a wrinkle, you can just open it, warm it again.
Nice.
Remove the wrinkle and just continue.
So the material is very forgiving, which is nice. Very cool. Awesome. And so you can see on the rounded edge right now, there's no chance to make a relief cut. So this is why you really have to master this technique of wrapping around. But keep in mind, you can see it on the material. In Wrap and Suit, we call pay attention to tension. So right here, you can see tension on the material that comes in the form of wrinkles. So right now, if you cut it here, that tension's on the edge. The chance of that lifting is 100%.
Right. Now we will remove just a bit of excess because to have more material, it's okay, but not too much. So
always try to make it a little easier to handle. Again, it only takes a few seconds.
Take the squeegee with the rigid part, and now you can proceed step by step. You warm it, just keep it intense, not stretch it, and squeegee on the back.
Cool.
Always try to put less tension that you can, because in other case, the tension will be your enemy during the cut. So
got it.
Warm it. Keep it intense. And just fold it on the back.
You definitely want to use the hard side of the squeegee here. Don't want to use the buffer side. The hard side really kind of slices the material, gets it on the surface. So give it heat. You see the material kind of shrink under, which is a good sign. So it kind of shrinks under. So the tension kind of goes to the flat part, which is good. You want it to hold the flat part, not the corner. Heat it again. Nice, easy setup. Always make sure, especially if you're working interiors, you put the heat gun facing straight up. Don't put it on the side because the tip of the heat gun gets really hot. Give it a kiss of heat and done. So you can see now at this point, lots of heat gun going all the time. But again, if you feel right here, if I run my finger right on the edge, it goes under about almost like a ½ centimeter. So you really want to take it a nice, good distance. And this is getting that extra hold. So never cut it flush to the edge. You want to wrap it under, but you have to use heat for sure.
When you close the complete part of the table, you can proceed with the cut. You have different solutions. The first one can be to turn the table. It's the easiest one.
For sure.
Turn the table and do the cut. But there is a little tricks that I would like to show. You can do a straight cut, a nice finishing also with the table like that. So always keep in mind that if you use the finger like a guide when you do the cut will be straight. So try to do this. Maybe the first time will be not easy, but after sometimes will be really easy to do this type of cut. So just keep in mind that if you have too much material on the back, if you touch with the hand the wrinkle, the cut will be not straight. So just push it.
Cool.
I will show you on the side that it's more visible for you. So in this case, I use this finger like a guide. I put it on the corner, and it's like a rail. So it will run on the rail, and the cutter will go exactly straight like the corner. So in this case, it's here. It's wrong, so we will do it on the back. I will use the other finger like a guide.
Nice. So it's almost like, in reference to, there's a technique that we use very similar to this, and it's called, I liken it to like a train's wheels on tracks. So train's wheels on tracks fit very much the same, so they stay on the rails because they have a setup there, so it's very safe, very straight. Cool. Let's make that cut, good to go. And keep in mind that during the prep phase, the primer is put about a £1/4 centimeter underneath the table, and this is where it's holding. So if you don't put the primer, even though you did the right steps, it still might lift. This is when you put the primer right on the underside, so it gives that extra hold.
Absolutely. And now I can just open a bit the table, and probably you will see that you have a perfect cut on the back, also without turning the table.
Very cool. Awesome stuff. Super cool.